Welcome to Programme Assessment, which we believe is a future-proof strategy for UK higher education. And we'd like to explain what that means and demonstrate it to you over the next 10 minutes or so. First of all, introducing us. I'm Peter Hartley, that's my brief biography. I'm now into my third career, starting with a career as a lecturer tutor, then moving into education development, and now as a freelance educational consultant, which just goes to show that if you get a National Teaching Fellowship, you can go on forever and ever. Over to Ruth.
Hi, I'm Ruth Whitfield. I'm Senior Educational Developer at the University of Bradford. I'm also in my third career. I started at the university many years ago as a staff training officer, then did some teaching and then moved into educational development. And I now lead the educational development and digital learning development teams.
Okay, Jackie.
Hello, I'm the newest member of the PASS team. After a 25-year academic career, when I got involved in a lot of learning and teaching projects to do with my subject of drama, I made the move into educational development, and I'm now a member of Ruth's team at the University of Bradford and delighted to be working with Ruth and Peter on PASS.
And that's what we'd like to do this session. We'd like to say a little bit about why worry about assessment and raise some problems that came out of the PASS project. We'll talk about what we mean by programme assessment. We'll introduce our perhaps most creative example of it and make some final suggestions and comments. Why worry? Well, because it's the most important thing we do. We think it's the most difficult thing we do. And it's also the most challenging thing we do, particularly in these times as we come out of the pandemic. There are all sorts of reasons to be worried, and we could, in fact, spend quite a lot of time discussing these. We do tend to do this in workshops, but just very quickly, some features of the assessment system do go back a very long time. We can ask whether they're fit for purpose, and we can also look at all the different interpretations of assessment between staff, between students, between institutions, between disciplines, and we know the research which suggests significant variation between assessors. And another thing that stimulated the PASS project was people starting to talk about unintended consequences of modularization, which programme assessment could resolve. So we started with some big questions. Do students learn sufficiently from their assessment experience? And in particular, as a result of that experience, can they self-evaluate? Because that's the skill that they will need in their future personal and professional life. And a wee challenge for you on the bottom right of that screen. Go and ask your students, what are the characteristics of a first-class student? We reckon they will tell you very quickly the algorithm that they need to get the marks. But will they be able to tell you about the qualities? Will they be able to self-evaluate if they have aspirations to be first class? So these were problems, issues in assessment that we uncovered when we started doing the PASS project. And I'll hand over to Ruth to give you a quick outline.
Yes, this was a paper written by Chris Rust for us, which is available on the PASS project website. And he came up with 8 issues. We've used these issues at every workshop that we've been running since 2010. And sadly, it seems that those still resonate with everybody today. So things haven't changed. Modules often break up the learning of students, make it difficult for complex learning. There's a tick box mentality of let's get rid of this module and move on to the next without any coherence. So those are some of the things that we were trying to move forward with the PASS project. We started off in 2009 and there were 2 NTF projects running at that time. There were several projects, but 2 particularly looking at programme focused assessment. The programme assessment strategy, the PASS project that Peter and I worked on, and then the Tester project, which was at Winchester. And you probably know Tansy Jessup's name associated with Tester. It's well worth having a look at the resources that are on the Tester website. The PASS project was started off thinking about what do we actually mean by programme focused assessment. So we wrote a position paper, which again is available on the website. And we use this definition in that assessment that is specifically designed to address major programme outcomes, programme rather than modular outcomes. And we felt that it follows that such assessment would actually be integrative in its nature. And as a result, that assessment would be more authentic and meaningful to students.
As well as the verbal definition that you've just heard, we also thought it'd be worth trying to represent it as a diagram. And we came up with this one, which effectively has two dimensions. The vertical dimension is the extent to which assessment covers all or most of the specified program outcomes. The horizontal dimension talks about the weighting of assessment. Is it low or is it high or somewhere in between? And you'll see from that diagram that a typical module is low on both counts. It's unlikely to cover all the program learning outcomes, and it's also, because it's only a single module, it's going to be lowly weighted. So we started looking for and trying to define examples that pushed you up this scale. And there's a range of examples that pushes you up that scale, moving from something that integrates over a semester to something that integrates over a level or a year, perhaps a final heavily weighted integrative assignment, not necessarily a dissertation, because that will probably study a very specific topic in great depth. It doesn't have that integration. And perhaps what we're really aiming for is students who can come out the end, who would be able to express, to offer personal evidence which shows that they can satisfy the program outcomes. So we were looking for examples of programs, courses that somehow moved up that scale. And perhaps our most creative example was Brunel. And this is their Biomed Sciences. This was the first course structure diagram that they sent us for their level 1. And you'll see that we don't appear to be any modules. That is because they've taken modules and split them up into study blocks, teaching with formative assessment, and assessment blocks, what the students have to do for assessment and in order to get the grades. And if you do that, if you split that up and you say that subject blocks must combine to create assessment blocks, then you have a dual diagram for your course structure, and it looks like this. And talking to Brunel, as we have done over the years, they've just sent us their latest edition of their level 1 structure, their level 4 structure. And this shows you the connections, how the study blocks at the bottom, the teaching and the formative assessment, feed in to the assessment that actually creates the grades. And you'll see that some areas like the critical thinking on the top bottom left, that feeds into virtually everything in assessment block, other areas less so. So a really innovative and creative example of how to integrate assessment to give students and staff a better flavour of how the course fits together. And it's been successful. They won a Kate Award. There are some of the statistics that they can offer us of success about NSS scores, good degrees. Students feel better prepared for employment, and graduate level employment increased by something like 18%. So a really strong success record, which shows how this process has helped. And you can find out more about it in this guide that is linked from this slide, demonstrating their workshop activities and also giving examples of integrated assignments. On the PASS website, we have a whole set of other case studies, and we're in the process of collecting some more new ones. And program focused assessment for us has these sort of general characteristics. It benefits staff and students. You do, however, need a cohesive course team. You do, however, need management support. You need a flexible approach. It's not a quick fix. It's not something you can do overnight, but it pays off. And of course, you cannot just change assessment. There are implications for teaching, delivery, implications for regulations. So what? Well, we think program-focused assessment, and a number of institutions are now reconsidering it, taking it on board. It offers authentic assessment, offers authentic alternative to traditional assessment. And we know that there are all sorts of problems with traditional assessment. For example, the growth of essay mills, which you've seen in higher education over the last year or two. It has a significant impact on student identity. Jackie, you wanted to comment on this?
Yeah, I came to PASS really through the student experience. And I'm thinking when students apply for university, they're applying for a course or a programme, not really for a set of modules. And they rightly have an expectation that they're going to have a coherent, progressive learning experience. But the way that many courses are designed, the modular structure, tends to work against that. The programme assessment project, I think, can help students to establish their sense of a professional or discipline-related identity.
And Ruth, you had some comments about how it's helped Bradford.
Yes, as we were looking to readjust our assessments for the pandemic, We were having a look, rather than looking at the module outcomes that hadn't yet been assessed, we decided that we would look at programme learning outcomes and then think about how we could assess those. And that's had some success, particularly in the optometry department, where they did a synoptic assessment of the outstanding programme learning outcomes, and they actually found that the progression from year 1 to year 2 was actually much better than it had been in previous years. So they are now opting to look at synoptic assessment as a permanent feature of their programme.
So, in summary, and to conclude, programme focused assessment can offer positive outcomes for both students and staff, and we think includes a really positive element of future proofing. So please get in touch if you want to discuss this further. Please consult the website and have a look at the case studies, and particularly the new case studies that are now emerging, and also consult some of the publications we've produced over the years. So thank you for your interest in programme focused assessment, and we look forward to talking to you.